planning and zoning meeting.
Where'd that come from?
Welcome to the planning and zoning meeting of April 9, 2025. May I have a roll call, please?
Amanda here.
Eric here.
Michael here.
Lynn here?
Daryl here.
Right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, I have a approval of tonight's regular agenda.
Madam Chair, I would request that the addition of Planning Commission Chair and Vice Chair appointments be added to the agenda.
Okay. So, with that, does everybody approve this evening's agenda? Do we make a motion for that, do we not?
You approve the agenda as amended.
Okay,
I make a motion to approve tonight's Wednesday, April 9th, 2025 agenda as amended.
I second.
but when do we?
That will be under, for lack of a better place to put it, that'll be under design review and land use public hearings.
Okay, and hopefully do. Okay,
Can I ask a question, Madison? Does that have to occur prior to any of the, okay, thank you for that clarification.
okay, I'm sorry, motion by Michael, second by whom?
Amanda.
Amanda, that's what I thought I heard. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, approval of the minutes from March 26, 2025. Does anybody have any corrections, additions, edits? Anything? No? May I have a motion, please?
I make a motion to approve the minutes from Wednesday, March 26th, 2025.
May I have a second?
I second it.
Motion by Michael, second by Daryl. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Do we have anybody who has declarations of conflicts on interest on tonight's agenda? No. Public comment. Is there any in the audience who would like to speak on tonight on something that is not on tonight's agenda? No? Anybody on Zoom?
No raised hands.
Okay. So we will close that. Special presentations, we have none. Design review and land use public hearings on 532 Main Street, changes to approved plans.
So, sorry, that's me. So this will look very familiar. This is something that y'all reviewed about a month ago. And this is back before you because the changes presented or proposed were of a substantial nature enough that this needed to come back before y'all. So within the staff report, you'll notice that in a couple places it says either 4-bedroom or 3-bedroom. Primarily that's because 3 bedrooms are shown in the plans, but there is an extra room that could potentially double as a bedroom due to its proximity to a closet and a bathroom. So that they have plenty of parking in regards to however many bedrooms, whether that's 3 or 4 that they use, but I did want to put that out. They have, originally they had proposed that it be a 6,597 gross square foot, single family house, and they have chopped essentially 1,000 square feet off. It's now 5,508. And all of that came from the front. They went from about 25 feet from the front, property line to about 45 feet. So nothing changed along the back. So there's no impacts to the 30-foot river setback or anything like that. They reduced lot coverage from 37 and 0.73% to 31.2%, and they reduced maximum pervious coverage from 54.89% to 50.8%. They did reduce the snow storage area from 507 square feet to 478 square feet, but that's still over what the minimum is, which is 432 square feet. Other than that, everything else stayed the same, so staff is recommending approval of the plans.
Anybody would like to present anything? Yes?
Yeah, do I need to step?
Name and address, please.
My name is Jim Seven, and I live at 632 Main in the Enclave, and I'm a neighbor to this gentleman here. And on behalf of the enclave, I'd like to speak in favor of the renovations that he's engaged in. We think it's going to improve not only his property, but along Main Street where we live, we'd like to see new development which enhances the value of our property. So I would encourage you to be much in favor of it as we are.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
Let me look online.
Nobody?
There's one online, one raised hand online.
One raised hand on Zoom.
Let's see. Sorry, Tobin, I'm trying to allow you to talk. Okay, Tobin? I do things that more.
Can you all hear me?
That's not good.
Tobin, do you have multiple devices connected at the same time? That often causes that echo.
Madison, I think I know what he's going to speak on it.
I'm worried
Okay.
about hanging up.
Tobin, if it's all right with you, Ken says that he believes that he knows what you'll speak about and he can speak to it so that you don't have to deal with the echo.
Okay, great.
Say your name and address, please.
Yeah, Ken Halliday, 811 and 532 Main. The only thing we wanted to bring up was, in addition to, I think Madison characterized it correctly, we just wanted to make a little smaller footprint. The two things, important conditions last time was the amended final plat. I think we have confirmation that we got that done next week. We said we would. And also, we've been approved by the sewer district for the encroachment. We don't have it documented, but their district board or whatever has met and approved it. So it's being documented. We just wanted to offer those two comments on those two conditions.
Check
Obviously-
on mine.
Sorry?
I had that down. Check on mine.
Okay. If there's no other questions, I'll-
I just wanted to understand.
Sure.
Because I was looking at that, Daryl and I both made those conditions. So basically, you're almost done.
Yeah, we're done on the amended final plat.
The plat's finished.
And the encroachment with the sewer district is in documentation. It's been approved by their board.
Okay, perfect. Because I was gonna ask, because I was like,
Well, I know, yeah.
That's
why we wanted to.
where's time's gone by and they said a couple days and it's not in the packet, so of course I would have to ask, but thank you for.
I think that's what Tobin wanted to speak to. Tobin, if there's something else, maybe you can
Echo it on.
echo again and we'll see if we can get the audio fixed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken.
Scott, you've got all that, right?
We have the plat, we don't have the ERWSD encroachment agreement,
But
but
yeah, the plat's all good.
the plat is all good. It's been recorded.
So prior to getting the building certificate.
Right, there's a reason, I mean, that was already a condition of approval. It does not need to be a condition of approval a second time, which is why that wasn't added to the staff report,
Because you already have it.
because we already have it.
Right.
Okay,
I was just asking you why it wasn't in the packet.
Because it's not part of the application.
Oh my God. All right.
All right, we have one more,
ladies and gentlemen.
we have one more person online.
Okay.
Liz, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, I'm Liz Campbell. I'm at 512 Main Street in Minturn, Colorado. And I have some questions. I'm not sure where we are in the meeting right now, if this is the public comment or not. But I have a lot of questions about the riparian terrace in particular. Can you explain where we are in the meeting process right now?
Yes, this is public comment for 532 Main Street.
So for public comment, I was served recently with some paper. I understand that the town is doing a quiet title on the river. Is that correct?
That is correct, not necessarily specific to this one project, but
No,
overall.
I'm just talking, this is public comment. I'm not talking. So, it's my understanding that they're trying to get that quiet titles to also establish where that 30-foot setback is.
That is not correct.
Okay, But the other question I have is you used to have an ordinance, and I'm wondering if it's still in effect, that the 30-foot riparian terrace is to be left in its natural state. Is that correct?
The 30-foot setback is supposed to be maintained in its natural state or
Okay.
be revegetated with natural vegetation.
And so is there a definition specifically for natural vegetation in the riparian terrace?
There is not.
And in doing so, then you could allow sod, for instance.
We have allowed certain areas to be reseeded with what's supposed to be low growth grass.
But I've seen sod laid down in that riparian terrace. So sod is not allowed. Is that correct?
That is a question for the town. We're going through a process of trying to evaluate the current regulations and how sod fits in with that.
Okay. Yeah, because I think there's a lot of confusion as to what, I attended some of these P&Z meetings where we talked about the riparian terrace, and they said if you allow buildings up to the 30-foot mark, they're going to naturally want to landscape the rest of that riparian terrace so they have a beautiful grass and manicured lawns right to the river's edge. And so I just want to know, is that something that the P&Z is still allowing or wanting in that 30-foot riparian terrace?
I'm happy to answer this. The intent is still the same. And as you review and approve landscaping plans for new homes, we should be looking at the proposed plantings or any revegetation that happens between the 30-foot setback line and the ordinary high water mark. In this particular case, just kind of getting back to the application that we're actually talking about, this home and the landscape plan were approved, a month ago-ish?
With native grass.
And I guess unless there's anything materially changing with the proposed landscape plan, I don't know that that's necessarily what we're focused on. There's changes.
No, this is just public comment about the riparian terrace. I'm just trying to understand what the P&Z's interest is on that riverfront.
Well, I'm staff, so I'll let the P&Z answer that, but if it's public comment, it should be directed at this particular application. If there's another time to talk about the riparian area and the 30-foot setback, we will have additional opportunities for that, I think, moving forward.
Okay, I thought the public comment was for things not on the agenda, but specifically to this project.
Excuse me, Liz, the public comment not on the agenda has already been open and closed.
Oh, sorry about that. So
Right now,
that's my
we're
confusion.
focusing on tonight's packet.
Okay, thank you so much for
You're welcome.
elaborating.
And you're welcome. We are working on the building code and things like that. So you're welcome to come to a planning and zoning meeting and come up with public comment and
Okay.
share your concerns.
So specific to this project, it shows natural grasses in certain areas. And I didn't see that in that 30-foot. I see it on the side and I see it to the right side of that 30-foot riparian terrace. So I guess the question is, are those natural grasses going to be throughout that riparian terrace?
Yes.
Okay.
That is staff's interpretation, and the applicant can certainly speak to that, but it's called out a couple places, I believe, to show that it's throughout that whole swath of
Okay.
land.
Because that's how the previous neighbor had it, was really natural grasses, tall natural grasses, the things you want in a riparian terrace. So I'm glad to see that they're going to continue with that thought process.
Thank you.
Just one last comment. I was working for Betty Ford Alpine Gardens when they started the Restore the Gore project in Vail, Colorado. And they have done an outstanding job of restoring that river, the Gore Creek, I should say, and all of its riparian terraces. And they have an extensive amount of materials about educating people on about the riparian terrace. They give out free seeds that you can actually spread on your riparian terrace. So if you guys are looking for a little bit of direction on all that, the town of Vail is extremely resourceful, as well as the Betty Ford Alpine Gardens.
Liz, thank you for bringing that up. We've talked to the council recently. We had a work session, if I may, Madam Chair, just to respond to that, because I think it's important that you brought it up, and every chance we get, we should be talking about it. We actually invited Peter Wadden, who runs their program at the town of Vail, speak to the council. And we invited someone else from the Eagle River Coalition who was not able to speak, but Peter was a wealth of information. We continue to work with him, and Kevin Rindy, who's our code enforcement officer, has been attending workshops that they're putting on for free that have to do with kind of riparian-friendly landscaping design and maintenance. And irrigation and different topics that they're doing every week or every 2 weeks or something like that. So, and then we plan on putting out some materials to homeowners along the river that start educating them on how to do things best practice.
I appreciate your efforts tremendously. I've seen that riparian terrace butchered, completely butchered. And it will, in the end, heat up the river and make it a very unhealthy river again if we can continue to allow it.
Thank you so much for your comments tonight, Liz.
Thank you.
And like I said, please come back and speak at public comment if you feel you need to.
Well, it doesn't really go anywhere, but I'll try.
Thank you.
I've been
We're gonna
speaking,
go
I've
back
been
to
on the river.
532 Main Street at the moment. Okay. So, does anybody we're done with the,
I have no more raised hands.
so we will close public comment for 532 Main Street. May I ask the commission, is anybody starting? Amanda? Do you have anything?
I don't have any additional questions that weren't asked when they originally come through. I have no questions on the changes. I
Eric?
appreciate the work.
No.
Michael?
I do not.
I do not. The ones I had written, you answered.
Just a quick question to Ken.
Yes.
Please can approach the,
It's quite different to see it downsized from previous. Was there a reason for it?
Oh, multiple reasons. Pick up the newspaper, and also our daughter moved to Edwards. So we don't need to, it's personal issues like that,
Oh, okay.
but
I thought-
nothing related to the site. I mean, it's still a big home, but I got 4 grandchildren and more on the way, so we gotta have enough room for everybody.
I understand that
Yeah.
totally. I have
So it's
3
really
grandkids.
principally those 2 issues, daughter
Yeah.
moving to Edwards and the economy and craziness we're living in.
But it wasn't with anything with, setbacks or anything?
Oh, no.
No,
No concerns on anything like that.
okay. Oh,
No.
okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, with that, and if nobody has anything else,
There was
I'd like to make a motion.
go ahead, Michael.
I'd like to make a motion to approve final plan review for change to approved plans at 532 Main Street.
May I have a second?
I second.
Nope.
She can.
He can. He can.
We're all so excited to do this. Motion by Michael, second by Daryl. Is there any further conversation? May I have a roll call vote, please?
Amanda, aye.
Eric, aye.
Michael, I.
Lynn, aye.
Daryl, aye.
Get to work.
Okay. Thank you. Nice to meet you. Nice meeting you. Good luck on your project.
Oh, bye guys.
Okay, planning commission chair appointment.
Planning Commission Chair.
So the way we've done this in the past is somebody makes a nomination, y'all kind of discuss if you need it, and then you vote. It's very informal. I have no ballots for you. And it's really just kind of up to y'all who you want to be chair and vice chair.
I'd like to make a motion to keep Lynn as our chair. I think she's been doing a great job and very thorough at reading the packets.
I second that motion.
She got that one.
Motion by Michael, second by Amanda, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
I'd like to make a motion to have second chair Michael. He's always here a little bit more than some of us. And so I think that consistency, plus he's been on the commission for a considerable amount of time, always reads his packet and has a good always list of questions, so.
I second.
Motion by Amanda, second by Eric. Michael, are you willing to accept?
Appreciative. Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 I didn't see that coming.
I promise to be here as often as I can to help you out, Michael.
You know the rules, Michael, and you abide by them.
Okay, manager's report from Jay Goodman. Has everybody read it? Does everybody have anything to say about it? How about from Katie Sickles? Anybody have anything?
So I had a question on the manager's report in our last meeting.
Go ahead.
Okay.
HCE, do we know any more details of when they're coming back in front?
Nope.
Okay, so just keep my eye out. We all know I'm gonna be having to recruit myself a bunch.
Really?
Oh, yes.
Really?
Yeah, I think we'll all be very interested to know when they're coming back with something.
Okay, that was my only question, so I can.
Just as a reminder, I honestly don't know exactly where they are in their process, but they still have a 1041 process to come through in our town, which is, you know, an application and multiple hearings and stuff like that. So, and just as a reminder to that, 1041 regulations allow the town to specifically look at things like new water treatment plants or high-powered transmission lines or things that have significant impacts potentially to a community. So.
It did look like they were going to be extending the NEPA process based on that manager's report, and that was what I'm really most interested in because there's so many other communities that aren't necessarily fully engaged. So that's what I was really wondering about. But we don't know the extension of that process because I looked and it hadn't been published either, how long they're extending that public feedback.
Yeah, that has not been communicated to us. How much they've.
Do you think Jay would know, or?
I'll call them outside of it's not related to my commission role.
Okay.
Thanks.
Planning director report.
Ooh, I've got good stuff.
Better get my pen out.
First of all, I think I've neglected to get back to you, Amanda, about the building that you alerted us to 2.5 months ago out at the UP Railroad.
Oh, I saw.
Yeah, so right after that, Kevin Rendy and I went out, parked a car, walked around and inside the building and then started making phone calls and said, what is this thing? And I think the end result was that within the conditional use permit that was granted for that parcel, they were allowed to build that. They did contact our building official before they put it up, so it was legit. And they used it basically for painting of certain things within the building itself, because they could condition it and heat it. That's what I know. Do you know anything else about that?
They did stop all construction on it, and then they just put a piece of plastic over the top of it now. So they didn't finish it.
I don't think it was supposed to be anything permanent, so they're probably not going to put any more time or resources.
They just have
into it.
this like thing blowing on top now.
Okay.
Just waiting for it to blow off into the river. That's what I'm waiting for.
Well, maybe we'll have Kevin go down and pay him a visit again.
Don't tell them it was me.
So sorry I didn't get back to you sooner on that, but we did check it out almost immediately and it seemed like it checked out, so. Just real quick, updates on Minturn Forward. You haven't seen much lately. There's been a lot of work being done behind the scenes. Matt and Madison and I have met several times. And was it last week?
Last Tuesday.
Last Tuesday, we had an all-day session up in our conference room. And today we had another all-day session, and we are into the weeds on the zone districts. And what that looks like for us is that we have a table or a matrix that has all of the zone districts, all of their purpose statements, all of the dimensional limitations, what exists today, what the Planning Commission may have recommended 4 or 5 years ago when we did all the work. And so that's making it into the table. What the community plan says for a recommendation for our new zone districts. And so we have been hashing through those things and trying to make sense of them. So we can then produce a cleaner document for our open houses and for your review, and possibly to hand out to people that attend the open houses to say, if your address is in this block, here's your existing zoning, here's your existing allowed uses, here's what a new zone district would be named, and here's your new, so there's a complete transparency for folks that they understand either whether their zoning and their allowed uses or their dimensional limitations, setbacks, building height, those types of things, whether they've changed substantially or not very much at all. That's what we're trying to work through. It has been very tedious, and again, Matt's not on the call tonight, but without Matt, I think we'd be struggling to get as far as we have. Today we made it through all of the zone districts, and we still have some work to do with the existing dimensional limitations and some proposed dimensional limitations, again, kind of based on some of the work that the Planning Commission did 4 or 5 years ago, and some of the recommendations from the community plan for some of our new zone districts, like mixed use zone districts. Matt's off on a 2-week vacation starting next week. I'm going to be off on spring break. So our goal was to try to wrap this portion up now. When we get back, we're going to start putting together what should be posters for an open house, again, to kind of say, here's what you have now, here's what we're recommending as a change, and public outreach, making sure that before we get to any open houses, we've given enough public notice that this is happening. We have open houses scheduled these dates. And something we talked about today again was having something, not just boards that they can look at around the room, but something they can take home. So they, if your address is in this block, here's what this means to you. After that, I think we also talked about giving people up to a month, or whatever you and the council feel is appropriate, to digest this information, talk with their neighbors, talk with us, whatever, if they still don't understand what it means to them, if we're actually changing their zoning or changing their use rights, give them enough time to ask questions, get comfortable with it, object, whatever they feel like they need to do. And during that time period, Matt and Madison and I can be working on other articles or module, parts of the module that have nothing to do with zoning, but we still have to get done. So it looks like this is heading towards possibly June open houses. So we're slipping a little bit on the timeline, but it's been really good work, and I think we're heading in a good direction. So I'll stop. But we've been doing a lot of work behind the scenes.
So as you're looking at the timelines, could you take into consideration, we have obviously Memorial Weekend, that first weekend in June, school's out, then there's GoPro the weekend after that, so like the 7th through the 9th, I think is GoPro in Vail, which usually, is a big deal for the locals.
Yeah.
So maybe if it's really gonna go into June, just try to be cognizant that I think a lot of locals are super busy those 2 weeks trying to get kids out of school and also prepare for, the influx of visitors that those events cause.
Now our first meeting, and then we can give everybody 30 days through July 4th into the end of July, or whatever you decide.
This drives Madison nuts, and it probably drives Earl and the council nuts, but we've been at this for a long time, but in the last 12 months we've made significant progress, and I see the light at the end of the tunnel. This is a really important part of what we're doing, and it's going to affect people. So I don't want to rush it. I don't want it to appear that we're rushing it. And if we have open houses, it's not going to just be one. It'll be, I think, multiple, or at least as much as we can absorb as staff to do that. For that reason, if we were maybe hoping to do this in April and May, but now we're drifting into June, busy time of year, start of summer and stuff like that. So if we give people multiple opportunities to come get the same information and give input, I think that's probably the best course of action.
I think it's a good idea. Like you said, it's pretty much one of the biggest parts of what we got going on.
Well, and it might not only affect their zone district, but if the zone district next to them changes, it may affect them too.
Right.
So, yeah, it is.
Yeah, so that's Minturn Forward. The other thing I wanted to touch on is the Highlands. We did have a work session with, or not work session, a presentation to the council about a month ago, 3 or 4 weeks ago, with Jessica Fowlis, the executive director of the Eagle Valley Land Trust, and also 2 staff members, Britt and Peter from Eagle County Open Space. 2 separate but related agencies that do a lot of work together. Just so the council could understand relative to the Highlands and this balancing act that we're trying to achieve of maybe generating some revenue for the water treatment plant and hopefully conserving portions or all of those properties. What does that look like to Eagle County Open Space? What does it look like to Eagle Valley Land Trust? How could potential deals come together? I thought it was a good presentation. There were some good questions asked. The end result of that was for council to give direction to staff. Number one, to come back to them for a more in-depth work session with Jessica Fowlis from the Eagle Valley Land Trust. The Land Trust really, I think, in that meeting kind of illuminated this. That organization is going to be able to provide perhaps some more creative and a wider range of options to the town. Everything from bringing a conservation buyer, someone who for tax purposes or for their own purposes wants to buy a parcel and conserve all or most of it. The partnerships that EVLT has with different state agencies and other local agencies and other land trust kind of widen the field of potential revenue sources for that. So we're gonna come back, I'm not sure when, but have a work session to kind of drill down a little deeper on what some of those options might look like. In the meantime, Mike Sawyer at that meeting made sure that everyone in the room understood that these parcels are effectively not zoned. And for the town to gain any benefit from the sale of these, or we don't really get any tax credits for donating a conservation easement and taking development rights off of them, but it still needs to be zoned to achieve any kind of value from a conservation standpoint, or from just a straight up land sale standpoint. So we were directed to start working on creating a zone district for those parcels. That's something Madison and I are going to work on. It probably will dovetail within the Minturn Forward zone district work that we're doing, but I think it's going to result in a creation of a zone district that doesn't currently exist for 5-acre home sites. And some basic residential uses. So we have a base use for these parcels that an appraiser could then establish a value for the parcels that is realistic, right? So that's what we're doing with the Highlands. The fact that the town is now going to be focused on interviewing and trying to finalize town manager selection, that might compromise my ability to get back in front of them for this work session with Jessica. But it's still on our radar and we need to come back and figure that out because the clock is still kind of ticking on the Highlands. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that work session is public. It's usually before the meeting, right? So it would be like at 4 in the afternoon. Any of you could come and listen. There's no real interactive question answer type of thing, but you'll learn what they're thinking and going, it's like, I came to the first meeting and there's a lot there to think about, a lot of, things that have to be worked together to make it work for us to really try to save some of that for open space. So if any of you can come, you're all invited to drop by and listen to it and learn more about it
What's the
when it
date?
comes up.
We
It
will
doesn't
let you
matter.
know when it gets scheduled. At this point, I have no idea when it's gonna get scheduled, but you'll know.
Okay.
I like the whole open space, the whole process and everyone's thoughts and obviously I'm sure that you know this, but just say for example, it didn't go open space and it went to 2 5-acre parcels that actually decided that that was more profitable, could help the town, or the town decided that that's what they wanted. That being said, we need, because you would be the one working on it, we need to consider that if you're, to my understanding, that if you're part of the town, you can't have a well. So you would have to be hooked to a town water source, even though none of us really think it's going that way. I just wanted to throw that out there.
There's some exemptions there.
Yeah.
The Battle Mountain Barn at 13400 is not on the town water supply. I believe they have their own well. They have a permit through the state. They have a septic, so they're not on ERWC sewer either. But that's within the town. So there are certain exceptions. If it's truly we cannot get water out to them, then they can get a well. They just have to have that permitted through the state.
Where there's a well, there's a way.
Doors away.
That's a good.
Trust me, every time I look at my water bill, I wish I had a well. It's scary.
Yes.
I'm just saying.
That certainly will become part of any appraisal that's done on those parcels, no matter what zoning gets applied to them. What's the availability of water and access and other things, right?
Yeah. Yeah, no, I wasn't. It's a long process. I appreciate your work and hopefully it goes well.
I think it's gonna go great.
See, double punt.
Just leave it at that. Hope it goes well.
And both of those people gave very good talks that night. Jessica is just so full of knowledge, it's amazing. She knows all the ins and outs. And she had something to do with the Wildflower Farm one.
Yeah,
The building is now turning into.
That is I'm on the board, and
Right.
it's our new home.
You are vice president. It was in the paper. So you can say it. And they had something to do with the sheep also, didn't they?
The what?
The one that we're saving in Vale.
We are gonna be holding that conservation easement.
Yeah, but I'm so glad that log building got saved too.
Yeah.
That
It's an
was,
amazing-
Wildflower Farm was my favorite place to go.
If you've ever shopped there and liked the Wildflower Farm, I think we did a pretty nice job of respecting the history of that building and what Marty Jones created on that property. It's hard to see now, but like the second half of our fundraising goal will go into creating a space on the back side of that building that looks a little bit more like Betty Ford Alpine Gardens than what it looks like now. So that's the grand vision. So we have like a really nice outdoor space with gardens and we can hold our fundraising events there or kids groups. We've partnered with the Eagle Valley Outdoor Movement, which is a pretty important nonprofit in our valley. So it's opened up so many doors for that
I
organization.
just have to say Marty Jones, but it was his wife who did a lot of that too.
Oh, was that?
Yeah.
Okay.
She was into all the antiques and everything.
It was pretty cool.
Yeah, she did an amazing job.
Yeah.
Anything else?
No, ma'am.
No, sir. Okay. Planning Commission comments, anybody? Amanda, I said thank you to you tonight. I said thank you to you guys last time that you were in here. So thank you for reapplying and staying with us.
Thank you
We
for
appreciate
having
it.
me again.
And I don't know that I have anything else at the moment. Anybody else have anything? No? No?
Thank you for being Madam Chair.
Well, thank you for keeping me. I had a little practice.
It's only been what, 20 years?
19
19.
this year. It'll be 20 next year. So, Daryl's back on also, as you can see.
Yeah.
And that all turned over at the end of March, so you guys had 2 years. Is that correct?
Mhm.
Yeah. Just so you know. That's the term limit on planning commissioners. Okay, future meetings, April 28th.
I want
This is a
to,
Monday.
yes, want to emphasize, it is not a Wednesday, it is the Monday after when we would normally have our meeting. Because feedback last week was that spring break was a terrible week for everybody, which is when our regular meeting would be on the 24th, 23rd, something like that. And then the following week, what?
We need to make sure I'm available that.
We're having the meeting.
Go for it.
I don't have any other time to hold this meeting, and the meeting needs to happen. I have too many DRBs piling up.
Monday the 28th is, we know that, and then you're talking about the one after, the next one?
Is May 14th.
May 14th, yes. Yes, there, because April is a 5-week month.
Yeah, no.
There's or a 5 Wednesday month, I should say. It's a really long time was for us to cancel the last meeting. And so, with spring break being the week where we would normally have it, and then with town manager interviews happening Wednesday, Thursday of the following week, when I would normally just move it to the next Wednesday, the 5th Wednesday, that's no longer available. So Monday it is.
But May 14th is our regular.
But May 14th will be a regular Wednesday, will be a regular planning commission meeting.
Oh, yeah, and that'll be our first one.
First in May.
Then the second one's over, then Memorial Day, we get close.
Yes, I'm still working dates out with Cindy, but one of the meetings in May will likely have to be entirely virtual, given that we will be setting, originally we had scheduled the replacement of all windows in Town Hall to happen this 5th week in April, but given that that's when town manager interviews are happening and they need council chambers for staging for the entire week, we can no longer have it happen that 5th week when it wouldn't be, impacting anybody. So rather than impact a council meeting, we will likely instead be impacting a planning commission meeting in the month of April, or in the month of May. So we will likely be having an entirely just virtual meeting, though I haven't figured out whether or not that will be the first or second meeting in May.
We'll roll with the 28th and figure the rest out.
Right.
Sounds like a plan.
Can you accommodate me?
I can.
Thank you.
Love it.
Okay.
So April 28th, which is a Monday, you kind of missed that. Awesome. Okay.
All right.
Will you have note that Jeff arrived at
Yes, I will make note. Just in time.
6:14?
Yes, exactly.
Jeff, do you want to make the closing
Motion.
motion?
Sure, I'd like to make a motion to close tonight.
Perfect.
May I have a second?
I second.
Motion by Jeff, second by Amanda, all in favor.
Aye.
Thank you for coming.
Sure.
It's nice to have somebody in the audience once in a while.